Hello everyone, welcome to Handing the Shame Back. This is a show dedicated 100% to adult survivors, both male and female, of child sexual abuse. We have this channel because the wish is to help support survivors everywhere. It's just not spoken about. It's not given the attention it should be, and there are many people suffering out there. So if you've already joined this channel, I thank you. If you're part of this, well, I know who you are now, so you can't escape. You can run, but you can't hide. So look, tonight we've got a Christmas panel discussion, and what a treat for you guys. And just before we start, please know there will be a trigger warning on the show, as there is with all shows. And the reality is that as we start this, we just want to make sure that everybody feels safe. So if for any reason you get triggered, please stop watching, go to the show notes below. So in no particular order, I'd like to welcome these fabulous people to the panel tonight. And you've seen them all before because you're all survivors, tick. Susan's got a fabulous real Christmas tree, tick. Ken's got a little wobbly thing, but we love him for the effort.
It was a donation to Elder Care. They made it, so it's a very special Christmas tree, in an elder people's home. So it's very, very important.
Well, now I feel bad, but there you go. And we've got the lovely Todd, and he's got Santa behind him. So thank you for doing the Christmas theme. And this is my little contribution tonight, team. So I've got a little Christmas candle, and I just wanted to hold the light for those beautiful survivors out there, our survivor family who may be struggling a bit. So just want you to know the light is here, and we're holding it for you. Okay, so as we start, we're just really looking at what Christmas is like for us as survivors, and any tips or tricks that we have that may help you guys get through. So I guess Todd, seeing as Santa's leading the charge tonight, what would you and he like to share with us?
Right, Ian. Well, first of all, Merry Christmas to you all out there, and hopefully you have a good Christmas. For me, Christmas growing up wasn't a great time of year. That was when a lot of the abuse happened for me. So there's certain dates and things around the Christmas holidays that even now I still struggle with it a little bit. So I get quite a bit of anxiety, and subconsciously it just comes on, and if you weren't paying attention, it sort of sneaks up on you pretty quick. And now I'm pretty good without even knowing the dates to know that it's coming up to that time of year. And I guess for me, what I've done, being a dad and having kids of my own, has been about making Christmas really important and special for them, in a way that's safe, but make it a fun time. And that's had two effects really. It's made Christmas and that really cool for my kids, but it's also changed around a bad vibe and turned it into a more positive vibe. And so for a big part, that tends to be what I do with my life in general anyway, is turn something that's meant for bad and turn it into good. So that's kind of how I get through, to a degree. I'm really lucky in the fact that my wife is quite aware that Christmas is a time that I sort of get a bit anti and worked up, I suppose, a bit easier. And it's not the stress of Christmas at all. It's the stress of what I went through. And it's about being real about that with the people around you, I think. And if you trust them enough to open up and share that, then it just lightens that load a little bit. And so she's very good at evening that out for me. And I guess that's kind of how we do it without going over the top or anything like that. But it's actually just about making memories and making sure we spend the time with the kids and extended family and stuff too. But well aware, quite often at our place for Christmas, we have a lot of people that end up joining us who don't have families to be with, or they are on their own. I obviously run a farm, and so a lot of my workers and that they're away from their families and things, and so they join in and become a part of that, and that becomes a pretty cool thing because you actually start sharing that love around to a whole heap of people. And that's kind of where it is for me, without going into too much depth. I mean, I don't know how far you want to go, Gloria, but just for a brief rundown on it, that's kind of what Christmas is. For me as a survivor, that's the impacts it can have.
Thank you. That's awesome. And I love it. I love the fact that you talk about turning, the bad vibe into the good. And we're not trying to sugarcoat it, survivors watching. We're just being a little bit practical and trying to be real about how we manage our way through. Todd, sorry, thank you, Todd. Ken, looking at your flash new haircut there. Looking pretty slick.
Pretty sharp. The ladies at the hairdressing salon, I always say to them, try and make me look respectable, and they always say we can't do miracles, but we'll give it a shot. So, for me, I suppose in a lot of ways, I'm really lucky. I know it sounds weird, but the dirty, filthy mongrel swine that raped me as a kid was he was an orderly at the hospital, so he was a stranger to me at that time. And I had a family. There were seven kids and mum and dad, and we grew up in the 50s and 60s where there wasn't a lot around, but Mum, I don't know how Mum and Dad did it, but Christmas time was always special for us. So I'm really one of the lucky ones in a lot of ways that Christmas has been a special time, and it was the time of the year that I was able to forget also my own traumas and stuff like that, and just be with the family. And I've always my daughter, I mean, her and my granddaughter, they put their Christmas stuff up in about September, October. They're really fanatical. So obviously they've picked up on that. And last night in the support group, and of course I won't be able to talk about who the guys are in the support group, but Matt, the subject was, what does Christmas mean to you? What are you going to do for Christmas? Where are you sitting between 1 and 10? And so half of the guys talked about that they did have families and they make Christmas special so that they can enjoy what they had missed out on themselves. And then the guys who don't have a family, Matt's organising a Christmas day at the Canterbury Men's Centre, and so far he's got 20 guys registered to go. So he'll play Santa Claus. He doesn't have to use a pillow, as you know, but he may need to get a false beard and stuff like that. But so he last night really tried to just find out what the guys wanted for Christmas and things like that, and it was really special.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. And we need more Matts in the world. And Susan, Matt is one of the key workers at Male Survivors Canterbury, Male Survivors Aotearoa Canterbury, and does an amazing amount of work with the survivors. So, Susan, you're on mute, but just wondering what Christmas is like for you, and what you're able to do, how that looks.
Am I off mute now?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yay. Yeah, it's interesting. Hey, everybody. My name's Susan. I have been thinking about the question, and I guess probably for me, Christmas. Sorry, there's sirens going by, but spending Christmas with my family when I was younger, because my abuser was my dad's stepfather, who was really my grandfather, and the abuse happened when I was really, really young. But I think I always avoided sort of family time to a degree. I would take myself off and find a job to do, kind of make myself busy, sort of like just, give myself a task, really, remove myself from, I think, the activities. But probably a little bit like you, Ken, and that actually my parents always did a really great job of trying to make Christmas great, and I'm sure what they did, what you were talking about, Todd, which was making it a special time, and it was. And I had I've got 3 brothers and a sister, and it was a special time. But I remember my own response to the time, which was a family time, which was remove myself, and I didn't allow myself to, I think, have the joy that I probably could have had that not happened. And I guess now that my parents have passed, and they've been passed for quite some time, Christmas is quite a weird time, because you're just recreating yourself and trying to create something for your own family and your friends. And I think I'm still doing that, to be honest. I'm still recreating what Christmas really is. So I guess the tips is that we're all a work in progress, and that's okay. And but I'm always looking for the good stuff, and looking for the joy, but also cognizant of the things that maybe weren't so joyful. Yeah. I don't even know if that's really helpful or even makes sense, but that's kind of it. It's just, you just keep moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess what I'm liking is that without even perhaps realizing it, you used distraction techniques to try and keep yourself safe, I guess, or feeling safe. So
absolutely.
Interesting what we do, isn't it? So for me, guys, I won't belabor it, but we were told to lie to people about actually receiving Christmas presents. So there weren't Christmas presents, very, very rarely. And I think I would just try and run and hide as much as I could to keep out of everybody's way. When I became a mum, I noticed that a little bit like you were saying, Ken, and Todd, you alluded to as well. I think being a parent, I wanted them to experience the joy. So now I've gone completely over the top. I go so far the other way. The kids just go, Mom, do we have to? Like, really? But I'm clearly overcompensating because of the lack. And on those days or on those times, and I really respect what you said, Todd, there are certain days that can be triggering. I just try, I guess, and ground myself and put my bare feet into the earth or onto the sand, and try and just ground myself and remind myself I'm an adult now, and it's fine. But yeah.
Well, I think I'm the opposite, Gloria. I become the little boy at Christmas time, and I love it. It's just sort of just go back to that time and be the little fella again. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I guess for me, like my one of my abusers was my biological birth father, and so my parents had separated when I was only a little fella, and so as far back as I can remember, we always had changeover was on Boxing Day, or it would be at lunchtime on Christmas Day. So it was either lunchtime Boxing Day or lunchtime Christmas Day, depending on the year. So for a lot of years as a older teenager, I suppose, like, and I mean certainly before that, but I remember just sort of going through that into my early 20s. I was just so angry. Like, Christmas was just anger. Like, I couldn't understand why they would keep sending me to a place where that was going to take place, and no one was noticing. So for me, it wasn't a great experience, Christmas, at all. Like, my mum certainly tried to make Christmas special, but because she didn't know what was going on, I was very much like Susan, and just sort of distance myself from a lot of that, because I didn't want to go. I didn't want to join in. I didn't want to be around people that were going to naturally were hurting me. And then, it wasn't until I had my own kids that really changed, and I had to change that mindset, because I was just going to ruin Christmas for them. And I could literally see that me being the way I was around Christmas was actually ruining it for those around me. Whereas now, in all honesty, my wife will tell you I'm the Christmas spirit. Like, I love Christmas now, because it has a purpose and it has a reason that's not bad, and it's not nasty, and it's not causing anyone any hurt or pain. And it really is about just being with those that you love, and be grateful for what you've got and what you've achieved. And, it was only 7 years ago, and I had absolutely nothing, and King can attest to that. I was gone. I was down and out with nothing. And, I've worked back up to get where I am, and that is really by focusing on trying to put something positive out of the negatives. And that is honestly my one take-home message: is it's all right to be angry, and it's all right to feel frustrated or get anxiety, but just absolutely hold on to the fact that if you breathe, you can actually get through it, and you can come out the other side, and things do change, and they can get better. And it's just changing the mindset. Sometimes maybe it's reaching out and just talking to someone about how you're feeling or what you're going through. And for me, that real breakthrough actually came through from telling, my wife what the holidays and that meant to me, and why I was the way I was. And that to me is the one key, is just, if you can, find that one person you can open up to and unload, because Christmas will change for you if you can do that. And for a lot of people, it is a really traumatic, hard time of year. I've been one of those people.
And I think one of the things that comes out of that, Todd, is the anxiety and the depression. And one of the guys talked about that in the group last night. And, I think there were about 12 of us there. And he just says, anxious and depression. And I just said, hands up, all those who are struggling with anxiety and depression. And of course, 12 hands went up, so that guy's, as well, his eyes lit up, and to realise that we all go through that depression and anxiety, and how can we work together to help each other through that.
Yeah.
Susan, any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I was just thinking what I was really just listening to what they were saying. I was just feeling an empathy, really. I don't really have any other thoughts, but
I think one of the things I feel, and Susan, please just chip in because I've just cut you off. It's Christmas. Be generous. Is that, anxiety and depression, one thing we know, guys, is if we try and block it or stop it, it's actually going to come back stronger or be bigger. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to give our beautiful survivor family permission to feel what they need to, but know that there's a light at the end,
Yeah.
There's a way through.
Yeah,
because sometimes, sorry, you go, Susan.
Oh, no, I was just thinking that absolutely, Gloria, what you were saying, Todd, is that we do get to recreate our, We get to create our futures, and we get to choose how it's going to be for ourselves and our kids and our family. So as much as what has happened, it's not pretending that it didn't, but it's actually creating something else for the other people in our lives. And that's a real gift, actually, to be able to do that, to be able to acknowledge the hurt and the pain, but also go, I'm not going to pass that on. Actually, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to create something and pass something else on. And it's a bloody good thing, you know, it's a great thing. Sorry, just swore, but
no. I think one of the worst parts, of course, is you know, we've lived in negativity most of our lives. You know, 90% of our lives has been in negativity. That takes up a hell of a lot of energy. If we could use that energy and strength we've had to keep ourselves in that negative place and just accept, hey, we're only going to be here for a wee while. And look at the good stuff that's been going on. For some, there's not a lot of good stuff, so it's about trying to bring the little stuff out for them and help them in that way. But you know, I think we're the worst in the world for our negative thoughts, and we need to be able to kick ourselves in the butt now and again and say, hey, if we're got that energy to put into that, why can't we put it into how special we are and how cool we are? That would be neat.
Yeah, change the script.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two things out of that, Ken, is, you know, negativity breeds negativity and positivity breeds positivity. And I think that's the thing. It links hand in hand also with depression too, because sometimes when you're down, it's easier to drag yourself even further down by being negative. Whereas, and it is definitely a mindset, and it is bloody hard to do, and I know this firsthand. But it is finding those little wee things that, you know, just those little wee glimmers that actually give a little bit of positive, and from there you can grow and go forward from there. And I would actually challenge every single person who watches this to actually really have a good hard think about 1, 2, or 3 things that they're incredibly grateful for, that they've got going on in their lives right now. Because if we look hard enough, we actually find those things. And it's no different than, I mean, Gloria can go over all of these too, but that's no different than with your grounding techniques and stuff like that. You know, it's processes we follow that keep ourselves safe, and it's those things that get us to where we're going. And it's no different if you want to change your mindset about something or change your outlook on how it is. You've actually got to start from within and start just putting out those little things, and those little things grow into big things. And from there, you know, I knew I'd started getting it right when my kids asked me why I love Christmas so much, because I'm a bit like Gloria, I think, and I go a bit over the top now, and to a degree. I mean, look, I've got massive big Santa there, like, come on. Yeah, I've even got the big reindeer that go with that. But yeah, like, to me, it's about just make it that special time to actually reconnect. And I think every one of us could do that, is reconnect with somebody or something. And if you can do that, there's already one thing on your list of a positive, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think if you're not careful there, Todd, we're going to have to start calling you Dr. Portsmouth, the psychiatrist.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that would be scary.
No, it would be. I mean, look, in all honesty, though, it's because,
True.
You know, yeah, like we've all lived through this, and everyone's story is their story, and they're all different. You know, I guess for me at this time of year, I do connect with those sort of people that are really struggling with it, because I've been there for a large part of my life where I hated Christmas. And not only that, I've been at a point in my life where it's just completely suicidal, didn't want to live, felt like I wasn't worth anything and I wasn't worth carrying on. 7 years ago, I was engaged with the crisis teams trying to save my life, because I didn't deem it worthy enough to live because of the pain I'd been through and felt like I'd lost everything. I could not see what the future held. And from there, yeah, it got a lot worse before it got a lot better. And I'd got divorced. But hey, you know, I've now remarried to someone who actually understands me and gets who I am. Successfully blended our seven kids together. Self-employed and run a very profitable business. And while I live in New Zealand, I think we're always going to have cows to some description. So hopefully I'm still going to have a job, especially the way dairy prices are. But it's just about finding who you are, you know. And at that point in time, I'd given up. I was worth nothing. Now I employ people and give them hope and give them a choice to actually better their lives. And if that's the one thing people can take from this, is doesn't matter how bad things are or how shitty life is, you can actually turn it around, and life is a hell of a lot better if you're prepared to suck it up and have a go. And sometimes that's what we've got to do.
And if you don't mind me saying, Todd, you know, from those times I used to travel out to your farm and sit with you having a cup of tea outside in the sunshine. There was no sunshine for you at that time. And I used to leave there thinking, shit, this is not working. That lad's really stuck in a dark hole, and you know, he's not going to get out of it. But you got out of it, mate, and I'm so proud of. You know, it's been a hard yakka, but you've done well, and it's you know, I can still see us sitting outside having those cup of teas, and then you know, a couple of times just want to, you know, sort of, come on lad, you can do it, but you didn't see that at the time, and now you've done it. It's magic.
No, not at all. And I mean, that's the thing, is I know there's people out there right now who feel the same way I did back then. And that to me is the sad part, is how do we connect with those people that are feeling that same way? And it's because of the actions of others that is, for a lot of them, is what's caused this pain and this hurt. And so therefore, there then brings in the factor of trust issues and belief. And there's all of those factors that play a part. And for a lot of people, Christmas is one of the hardest times, because how do you get around all that without having to actually suddenly trust someone or have belief that they're actually not going to hurt you all of a sudden, you know? But anyway, that's enough from me. We better keep this cheery, I suppose, eh? It is Christmas. Back to you, Dr. Gloria.
Yeah, listening to you, though, I am the eternal optimist, and what I take out of what you're saying is I'm envisioning a big rugby field, and it's not an original board. It was actually run on Facebook for a while there, but this guy had all these young college students line up. They were in one line across the field, maybe 40 of them. And he said...
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
So he said, take a step back if your parents were, or you come from a one-parent family. Take another step back if, you know, your mum, you know, you were living in poverty. Take another step back if there was abuse. And so it went, and so it went. And this huge field was just covered, and he pointed to the people at the top of the pitch, and he said, look back, some of those guys at the beginning are going to beat you. And the whole point being exactly what you've been talking about, I think, Todd, which is because of what we've overcome. So we're overcomers, yeah, we're survivors, we're overcomers. Because of what we've had to overcome, we've had to dig deep. Because we've had to dig deep, we've been able to find something within us that lights the path, yeah? And so that's our hope for survivors watching, is there's something deep within you that can emerge. There's something there. And I'm really grateful you talked about finding something to be positive about, because there's always something. And on those days now when life doesn't feel quite so positive for me, I just look around and I think, I've something to be grateful for. And I think that's really quite powerful, and it's such an easy thing to do. It's not that you have to go and spend money, or you have to leave the house, or you have to engage with anybody. It's just simply going in and thinking, what's one thing I'm grateful for today? And Susan, it might be the smell of that beautiful Christmas tree behind you.
Oh my gosh, every time I walk in the door, it's like I open, I think, oh, that's just so beautiful. It just fills up my senses. Yeah, it is. But you can. I totally agree with the gratitude, the practice of gratitude, and finding there's always something, no matter how small, there is always something. And I think when you mentioned, Gloria, you said, what was the term you used about being positive? Like you had a term back then, you always look for the positive, but I've always done that. I think that was a survival tactic as well. It was just, it was always the good about the situation. It was always the cup is half full, it's not half empty. Whether it might have only been a third full, but it was always way fuller than than it was empty. And I think that's always been my go-to. I don't always find the good, even though sometimes are really shitty.
Yeah.
And I think Todd talked about it before too. Now having a supportive partner and stuff like that. It's about being able to make those connections and with others who have experienced it, and then you can talk about that dark stuff in a safe environment. And a lot of survivors don't get that opportunity to do that, to reach out and get support. Yeah. And for me, if that was a Christmas present I could give all survivors, would be, to seek out that support, and because it's the most powerful thing we can have amongst us is sharing with each other, and knowing that it's okay to be in that place, because we get into that place of depression, and like I say, we beat ourselves up instead of, it's actually a normal part of being a human being. But for us, we've got an added bucket of, I call it our bucket of shit, on top of what other people have. So it's about being able to express and share that with someone else, so they can say, yep, I know what that's like. And so that's the Christmas present I'd like to give the world of survivors, that we seek out those that have experienced, and we can share and strengthen our community.
Our numbers and stuff are on the bottom of these podcasts and that anyway. And I mean, if people are struggling over Christmas, survivors and that who want to talk, look, hit my number up. I'm more than happy to answer it. I've got to get up and milk cows anyway, so I'm pretty good multitasker. So, like if it's one person that, that needs that, then do it, because I'm more than happy to have a yarn with you, and if that's all it takes to change something. And Ken's probably the same. Well, I shouldn't really advertise your number for you, Ken, because you probably have spent it with your grandkids and things. But like we've all been there. We've all been through this, and we're all at different stages and different walks. And I've still got a long way to go on my walk yet too. And but the reality is, where I am now is a way better place than I was 7 years ago. Like, I can absolutely put my hand on my heart and say that, like, it's just like chalk and cheese. Yeah.
In relation to the phone, my daughter used to say to me, if we were at a barbecue or a party or something like that, she in the phone, she said, "Dad, don't answer it. You know what? It'll be somebody wanting help. Don't answer it." But I had to. It's so my number's there.
Yeah.
She's given up telling me off, which is really neat.
Yeah.
Do you know what you guys don't even realise? And I guarantee that it's like this for survivors everywhere, actually. Do you realise what a gift you all are? Because although you've been through everything you've been through, look at your beautiful hearts now and the fact that you're prepared to turn back and reach out a hand. Isn't that lovely? That's Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's quite something. And it's often survivors. I was thinking before about Todd saying, you know, you have people at Christmas who maybe don't have anywhere else to go. And I was thinking, isn't it phenomenal, guys, in a good way as well, that it takes a survivor or someone who's had to overcome our sort of trauma to understand that this time of year is difficult or can be quite challenging. So thank you. It's a beautiful thing that you do. Okie dokie.
Well, that's the first time we've all been lost for words, I think. That's yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I think my internet cut out. I actually missed most of that part, but that's all right. You must have said something pretty good, Gloria.
But of course. I was just saying, Todd, isn't it great that we've all been through the trauma we have, and yet our hearts are full and big, and we are happy to extend a hand back to our beautiful survivors that maybe aren't quite there yet. That's
yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it's because we understand, you know, like when you've endured the pain and suffering, you understand it, and so therefore, you know, like I would hate to think that someone's sitting there alone over Christmas because they've got no one, and all they've got to do is pick up the phone, mate. You know, come have Barbie at the farm, or you know, join in. My family would welcome you with open arms. Well used to that sort of thing now, and to me, the more the merrier. You know, I've got lots of space. It's no issue. But I just think, you know, at the end of the day, I honestly think I just don't want anyone to be alone that's hurting and stuff that don't need to be, you know, like if you don't need to be, don't, you know, just reach out, maybe pick up that phone or talk to a close friend or something and let them know that, you know, yes, you're going to be alone because, you know, for me, honestly, with my extended family, I don't want to be around them at Christmas time, and I make sure I don't. Just purely because that's where the hurt and traumas come from for me. And I don't want to put myself through that again and re-trigger myself either. So I know for me, I have to avoid that. And there'll be people out there in the same situation where it's a family member or something that has abused them who aren't going to want to be in that situation either, you know. And I guess it's just being respectful and mindful that everyone is struggling against battles we don't always understand and always see, but it doesn't mean it's not there. And it is a time of gratitude and being generous and everything else, but I think it's also a time of year where we need to be a little bit more understanding and just a little bit more caring. You know, and it's not just for survivors either. You know, there's people that have lost loved ones and that at this time of year, it's an incredibly tough time of year for a lot of people. And yeah, I think just it is a time to share our hearts and open up and just be real. Be real. Like, yeah, that's all we can do, eh?
Yeah. I think also just what you said, Todd, it's really important to protect yourself, like be open as much as you can, but also have self-care. And like you said about not engaging with the people who potentially were, you know, party to or a part of who didn't acknowledge or etc. It's okay to not be with those people. It's okay to give yourself the permission not to, and to create your own Christmas and your own experience in the way that you want to create it. And that's such a good tip to share with people, that, you know, setting boundaries for yourself and your own family, whatever that might look like, is really important. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the tricky things we've always had too is those boundaries, because we feel that if we do that, we're going to upset someone, and people are not going to like us and all that sort of stuff. Whereas we've really got to like ourselves and say, hey, this is my safety place. This is where I'm happy. This is where I'm comfortable, and this is where I'm going to enjoy things. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think boundaries too can be challenging for us as survivors, because when you think about it, we were children or younger when, you know, abuse began for us. So boundaries were severely and irreparably broken. So therefore, fast track into adulthood today, and for our survivors watching, don't be surprised, honestly, if boundaries can be an issue, because it's become a core part of who we are. Oh, look, I don't like that, but yeah, come in. You know,
Yeah,
that's what we do. Is we, you know, that's how we were conditioned in a way. So Ken, even, you know, I know your story, and I know it was the orderly, but even though your instinct was, this is terrible, I don't want it, it's not okay, you know, the boundary issue became, I'll go for a walk with you.
No, he was my friend. He convinced me I was, you know, I was the best thing since sliced bread, and he's 10 pound back in those days, of course. Not, you know, he's 10 pound when I don't even think my dad was earning £10 a week. So all of a sudden I've got them. So then the guilt goes with that money and stuff like that. So you're carrying all those weird things, and you try and look back and think, you know, how did I put myself in that position? But you're just a bloody kid. You know, and we forget that because we're looking at it now from an adult point of view. So yeah, so there were no boundaries. It was they were out the door, and I didn't want to upset them. No, and you look back and you think, God, I don't want to upset them. Don't want to run into them now. But you know, so there's all that. Yeah, it's those mixed messages we get from ourselves as well, and yeah, those boundaries we need to put them in place.
If you can.
Yeah, of course. So it's not easy. Yeah.
No, it takes a lot of courage and strength to be able to do that. Because that in itself can lead to anxiety about saying no, and, you know, I don't want that or whatever. It is working through all of that. Like you said, one of the biggest battles within your own head, I think. In terms of boundaries and things, you know, like, in all honesty, Ken, I think when you used to meet with me, I think the boundaries were sort of broken there a little bit, I guess, and not that you did anything wrong. I'm not suggesting that. But I needed someone like you to actually step through those boundaries and actually say, hey, mate, you know, you're not alone here. And that was really the eye-opener for me, was I'm not the only person that goes through that. And so sometimes I think we do have to put it aside just a little bit if it means that you're going to help someone else. But in the same token, I think you've actually got to set boundaries that are healthy for yourself, absolutely. And, you know, and it's okay to have your own terms and what you're willing to accept and what you're not, you know, and don't be afraid to say no, because our voices weren't heard as kids. They weren't. And I think as adults, we probably, if we're all honest, we probably struggle with that, where we feel we don't get heard sometimes. And I honestly think that stems back from childhood too for a lot of survivors, is that same thing, as your voice wasn't heard as a child. So as an adult, yes, you want to be heard, you want to be understood. And it's all around how you articulate that, I guess, and being able to put that out there in a way that people get what you're trying to say and how you're saying it.
Well, I think I think one of the things, Todd, is like we've got that brick wall around us, and it's taking those bricks down one at a time, and then hold on a minute, I need to put that brick up here just to protect myself at the moment. So that was it. It's about being able to finally get rid of those brick walls that hold us back, but still they're there if we need to put them back into place to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting though, because alongside, saying no and feeling no, saying no and sticking to believing no, there has to be a sense of fortitude or self-belief or self-care or self-love. And for us as well, I'm talking for me, but self-love was a big thing for me because everybody else always came first. So it took me a long time to recognise that actually my instinct was always spot on, but I was just never allowed to follow it. So now as an adult, I always listen to my instinct. And when I say no, I actually mean no. But it's been a real challenge. And I think for survivors, at watching, don't beat yourselves up, guys. It's a process, and depending on the people around you, encouraging you to check in with yourself, I think is important, because yes, we can talk to other people, but I actually think self-validation comes from trusting what our inner voice is screaming. So, for instance, no, I don't want to see that person. Yeah, of course I'll come along. What's that?
Well, it's that people-pleasing thing, Gloria. We want to please everybody because we want people to like us, and so we please everybody else, and therefore we're not looking after our own interests, and that because that people pleaser, that that causes so much damage, because we don't want to upset someone, because we upset them they won't like us. We want everyone to like us, but we don't want them to get close to us because they might hurt us. So it's all so mixed up. It's about getting things into place. Or actually, no, I don't want to go there because I know that I'm not going to feel safe there. But thank you very much for the invitation. And, and it's being able to do that.
So I guess as we're coming to close out, is there any words of wisdom left within the panel? Anything
just Merry Christmas, and like Todd said, there's help out there, and I know that we talk about it's hard for men to seek help, but it's hard for all survivors, I think, to ask for help. So it's about knowing that there's people out there that want to help, and don't hesitate. And eat lots of chocolate.
Absolutely, because it'll make you feel better. I guess the thing that I always think about is that it's, I think it might have been, or probably both you and Todd and Ken have said that it's something that's happened to you, but you were born enough. You will always be enough. You are just perfectly beautiful, exactly as you are, and please don't forget that, because you're just perfectly perfect. And when someone else chooses to do something to you, that's on them. It's not on you, and it's not a reflection of you. And that's the message that I want to impart. And if you can, enjoy your time with the people that you love and that love you, and have a safe season.
Very nice.
Got any last words of wisdom?
Yeah. So I'd just like to say Merry Christmas, and happy holidays to everyone, and just be kind to yourself. We've all been through some pretty shitty things, and it doesn't need to define who we are. And just take one day as it comes, and just be kind to yourself in terms of you're here. You survived what was meant to break you, and you're still here. You know, don't forget that every one of us is a fighter that has fought hard to get to where we've got to. And, you know, if you're not feeling safe, then reach out for help, and absolutely reach out for help. I know Gloria puts up a list of places to go for help, and that's both male and female. I hate the gender thing. I think we all have been through some pretty crappy things. So, you know, there are places there to reach out to, and you don't have to go through this alone. You know, there's someone out there who'd be willing to talk with you, no matter what time of day or whatever. It just reach out, be kind to yourself, and you know what? I hope Santa brings you all something really awesome. That's what I reckon. Just share the love.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you. Hey, so look, just from me to the panel and to the beautiful survivors watching, you know, we see you, we stand with you, and we believe you always. And just have a safe and happy time. Trust who you are. You've got the answers to this, and go well. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.